It's a bit of a windy old day, David, but this week we're here with what?
The Citroën C5 Aircross Sport.
David, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it, this car?
Citroën had a lovely history of being very quirky.
And this is just as an example. I feel like it's being quirky for the sake of being quirky. Still manages to have the chevron, which harkens back to Citroëns of old, but...
And down there as well.
Yeah, there's chevrons all over the place and LED automatic lights, not matrix. But I don't know, 55 grand, I want more.
But I do like the little features in the side. You remember they've had that cactus and that...
Yeah, the air bumps.
Air bumps on it.
They've got those inside as well on the door, sort of like reverse.
Yes.
And this I actually think looks a little mini-esque. Looks a little bit like a Clubman.
Very square, isn't it?
Yeah.
This sort of thing.
But it just looks a little odd here coming up, and then this is sort of capsuled off for the passenger area, then this little glass bit, this little windows.
What makes it a medium-sized SUV is very little overhang. Look at the tightness of that.
Yeah.
19-inch wheels.
And they are very smart 19-inch wheels. I think that looks absolutely smashing.
And look at the squareness of this here.
Quite intricate. It does have kick to open function, which we're not going to do because it always looks stupid on camera. And this floor has a space saver spare under it, and you can put the floor in one of two spaces, so you can have it there or about 15, 20 centimetres lower.
Seat well back for you, Alan.
Yeah, and it's premium leather. I like a nice lot of legroom in the front. How's your headroom?
Headroom is just. I got about half to an inch there. But the nice thing is, even though it's electric seats, I can fit my feet under your seat.
Because
it makes all the difference.
Because I've got the seat raised. If I lowered the seat, you wouldn't. But you've got a sunroof still, which allows a little bit of extra room if you kind of lean over to the middle. And you've got a couple of vents there, David?
To control the direction of flow and one USB port. I've got to do the most important.
You're having your cake and eating it too, David, aren't you? So, I mean, you shouldn't say that in a French car because, off with your head and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Your seat has electric adjustment and a massage function, but only on the back. If you want to go to any of the car functions, there's a row of buttons here. Oops, I've just turned your seat heating on. They are touch buttons. Give you a hot bum. To get into the air conditioning, so forth, navigation and so forth. But although this is a 10.1 inch screen up from, I think it was 8 inches, there's very little real estate that is given over to actual information. The rest is hard fixed with, things like settings and temperature control and all of that sort of stuff, which is great. That CarPlay, for example, that's very small.
So if you've called up CarPlay and, when you've got the navigation up, you're down to...
Well, I mean, that's not quite so bad because that's giving me
I can play that,
audio as well. So it's still all on CarPlay, but it's on audio as well, and I do have my voice control up there for the other things. There's another row of buttons down here for lesser used functions. Also where, interestingly, the stop-start off is. I'm going to pop that on for you, because you hate stop-start. Demisters, recirculate and so forth, and also to turn the air conditioning off if you don't want to go into the air conditioning button. And little gear toggle. I actually quite like that idea, the gear toggle.
It's pretty simple.
And in the same area is your drive mode controls. There's a drive mode for almost every occasion. There's sport, normal and eco, which frankly does absolutely bugger all. I think with 133 kilowatts, the best you can hope for is not terrible.
You're saying, Alan, I agree, it's very light.
Steering doesn't seem to change much. I'm just going to pop you up into sport mode. Now, can you notice any noticeable difference in... Perhaps you should just pick a lane and stick to it, do you think?
Oh.
Yeah, just a suggestion. So guys, going around this corner...
It's a bit firmer in sports mode.
I didn't really notice it, so you must be more attuned Are you more attuned?
In the normal mode, it felt a bit soft and mushy.
But this is an 8-speed automatic, and it won't go into 8th until you get to 100. That's quite a way up. It's probably why the fuel consumption, I don't think, is quite as good as it could be.
Yeah, so the average is 5.7. Urban goes up to 6 point something or 5 or so.
And what am I on here? Now I've been
7.4.
I've been doing mainly freeway work with a little bit of city work, and it's 7.4 for 200 kilometres. Now, the ride, I think, is actually quite good, though with that torsion beam rear end, it does get it gets a bit choppy in corners. If you meet a bump or an undulation halfway through a corner, it does that little skip.
It coming out of that left turn there, it felt like it had some sort of little twitch to it.
Yeah, and did you also notice the torque steer? Because you put your foot down while you were still in the corner. This is one of my hates. This is left over from Peugeot Citroën of old. There's your light button up top, your light stalk, and below that a paddle with the controls for the cruise control and so forth on it. Now, to my mind, did you feel that? The little skip? It's just not as settled as it should be. So getting back to the cruise control button.
That's turned it. Cruise control, that's off.
Right, now you want to
set it. I do it by this little...
yeah, so now see, this is what I'm saying. If those buttons were on the steering wheel, you'd know, but you actually do that.
Yes.
If you press MEM again, what that's going to do is set it to the posted speed sign.
MEM?
Yes.
Why is MEM set it to the posted speed sign?
That's a very good question. The auto steering has come in and it's handling this very, very well. Now, normally, David, we have cars wandering all over the road here, do we not? Now it's gone off, you see. So you've got to watch.
I let go.
You've got to watch that. It doesn't like you letting go the steering wheel, and it senses the edge of the road.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you were, full as a state school port rack, and you were running off the side of the road, it'd direct you back on. Though best not. We're not saying drive drunk. Don't do that. Now the other thing is that's particularly strong at Q speed. Very, very strong. So it's got Q assist.
Oh, that didn't pick up the 50k.
No, I think it's all very well to have them, tell you what the speed is on the dashboard, but frequently they're wrong. And if they bing at you when you're driving over the speed, that makes it even more infuriating, like our friends at Kia and Hyundai. The blurb did say that they've made the seats even more comfortable with progressive foam and a hardcore and all of that sort of stuff. But I'm afraid one thing that I would never describe a Citroën as is hardcore. It's not any kind of core. So to wind up, David, I'm not quite sure it's worth the money. I think it is probably $10,000 overpriced.
I think a lot of what you've talked about, with a perception of and an understanding of its history, I'm not sure that has a new market.
Well, off air, David, I said to you that the problem that Jaguar had was that all its buyers were dying. So in other words, it wasn't attracting anybody new to the fold, and I think Citroën is exactly the same. I don't think Citroën has attracted anybody new to the fold. The Citroën C5 Aircross Sport. David, what do you think?
You would buy it to be a little different, a bit quirky, but in terms of the overall function and features, it becomes a bit expensive.
It is a little bit expensive for what it is. I mean, I like it and I think you'd buy it to be different. And with only 700 cars-ish so far this year sold between Peugeot and Citroën, you're certainly going to have the element of rarity. But as always, David, hit like.
Or leave a comment.
And above all, what do we want them to do?
Subscribe, Alan.